Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I look over the best card designs of 1994 in terms of the image poll results that you guys have filed. And this is the first time I've done a video like this because up until a month ago, I didn't even know that image polls existed on YouTube. So I was really glad to find them because as I've been doing these rankings, I have been really curious about your different takes on card designs, best and worst of. And I've heard very little back from you guys, so I always thought that what would be really great is to do an interactive ranking opportunity. But I didn't know that one existed until, like I said, a month ago I learned about the polls, which is a 4-image opportunity where you select just one image for either the best design or the worst design. And once I found this, I got really excited to be able to do this. And I didn't know how people would find it, but most of you guys have found it. So some of you guys might not have. And for those of you who haven't found it, it does tend to show up on the YouTube page where they have all the different videos if you scroll down a ways. But on my main page in the community tab, that's where they have the image polls. So if you haven't found them, that's where they're at. But it really does give a great opportunity to get feedback, not in terms of a full ranking as much as just seeing the different taste that people have of really good card designs. Because with all of the lists that I've done, every single card has gotten at least one vote. Of course, in 2 cases, they've only gotten 1 vote, but still, it does give a good opportunity to see the different views that we have on card design. And it also kind of grades me on my own work, which is something I'm intrigued by. So like when we start out here with baseball, when I did my baseball list, I started off, I had Donruss as the best design because, well, duh. Baseball was a little bit lacking, and the Donruss card is just a really, really, really nice card. But I also had to give a nod to Sportflics, which even in my video, I had to acknowledge that I was doing it because of in large part because of the fact that the Sportflics effect finally looked good, but also there was a richness to the images that comes through on these cards that I really like. So that was kind of, it was kind of like one for me. It was one that I knew really shouldn't have been at number 2, but I just wanted it to be there. At number 3, I had Extra Bases. And Extra Bases is, well, this is all about really strong images. And if the card design itself had been better, then I might have had it up at number 2, but it was a little bit lackluster in that regard. And then at number 4, I had Topps, which is just a decent, solid card. The one card that should have been on this top 4 list that I just couldn't put there was Upper Deck because it's too cluttered. And that's a problem that I have with it, although I have to acknowledge the cards do seem nice. I just don't like them in terms of their overall composition. So when I put together the image list for the poll ranking, I decided to bump Topps and allow Upper Deck to be on there because I had a feeling that you guys would appreciate that, and you certainly did. Now, the Donruss card was hands down the number 1 choice. But at number 2 is Upper Deck. And it makes perfect sense because it really does have a nice look to it. It's just that I'm a little bit too picky about the design itself fighting with the image. Extra Bases came in at number 3, pretty close behind Upper Deck. So it was pretty close between the 2 of those, both very distant from Donruss. And then I did get 1 vote for Sportflics, so thank you to you for that, whoever you were. So that was with baseball. Not too critical because of the fact that I did acknowledge that Upper Deck would be better appreciated and Sportflics wouldn't, so that was about right. Now when I go over to basketball, that's different because with basketball, I started off where Emotion was to me the best card design. I also really liked Upper Deck. So Upper Deck was number 2, and then Embossed I had at number 3. I really do like the embossed cards. And then at number 4, I had Hoops. And look, Hoops, this is just a great classic card. Really an impressive classic card. And when I put these up on the image poll, early on, Hoops jumped to the lead. Of the first 5 votes, I think 3 of them were for Hoops. So I thought it was going to make a really strong run, but there were very few votes that came in for it after that. So the final result looks like this, no change. So in this case, Emotion ran away with it. This was the most popular in terms of a number one vote on all these polls. Emotion was the most popular compared to the competition. After that, we have Upper Deck, and then Embossed is right on the heels of Upper Deck, but both of those are distant behind Emotion. And then Hoops did have a decent little run in the back, but it was very clear that the order I had put them in was very well agreed with by you guys. That's not the case with football, though. Now, in the case of football, I had Upper Deck as my number one. That did not get reflected in the overall list because I only want to do a release. If a release looks the same between two sports, I choose the better sport. So even though I had Upper Deck as the number one for football, I thought that the Upper Deck hockey design was better. So it didn't make it, the football didn't make it into the overall best of design list. But to me, Upper Deck was the best for all the football card designs. At number two, I had Game Day. And I really love cards that do a great job of showcasing images, and both Upper Deck and Game Day did that. So for me, Game Day was number two, and then I had Finest at number three, which is a love-hate relationship because I love the design in the middle. I hate the blue border. It always bothers me on that blue border. And so it's a card I really want to love, but at the end of the day, I just can't. It's almost like there's a gag reflex to it. Although I do know that most people really do like the Finest effect on it, which they're able to see past the blue. To those people, I say great for you. I'm really glad you can do that. And then at number four, I have Topps. And in the case of Topps, this is a card that is, I would have to say that it is a card that can easily be overlooked. I overlooked it for years. But at the end of the day, I had to acknowledge it's a really nice card. So these four went in as the list of the top four. And the results came back that Finest was very comfortably the number one as far as you guys were concerned. Interestingly, number two was Topps. And then Upper Deck came in at number three, and then somebody liked Game Day, so to whoever that was, thank you for that. But this was a case where I was very much corrected, shall we say, which is kind of the whole point. But when we go over to hockey, we go almost back to where we were with basketball, where for me, Upper Deck was the design. I mean, that's what I consider the best design overall for 1994. SP is really strong. I like it. Not quite as strong as Upper Deck, but still really strong. And then after that, I have Parkhurst, which I like Parkhurst. Number four, I had to put one on the list, and Topps Premier, I just had to acknowledge it wasn't too bad. It was pretty decent, but there was no love for that. And so I was really surprised when I saw the results where, okay, SP was considered better than Upper Deck, which is, okay, I can see that. I have no problem with that. And then Parkhurst was number three, and there was a surprisingly large number of people who liked Topps Premier. Not like 10 or 20, but more people than I expected. So in this case, it was almost the same list as me. It's just that SP got the nod over Upper Deck. So then when we got around to the overall best of poll, this was kind of interesting because when I put together my list, it was based upon my own personal choice overall. But that didn't reflect the number one from each sport that you guys selected, so there was no reason to try to line the two up. It was going to start out from different places. Not wildly different, but in my top five, four of them were Upper Deck Hockey, which did not make the cut, Game Day Football, which definitely did not make the cut. And the reason Game Day was here was because Upper Deck Hockey it basically overrode Upper Deck Football. So Game Day was number two, SP was number three for hockey, and then we had Donruss for baseball at number four, and then Emotion Basketball was out at number five, which doesn't show up here on this list, but it was just outside of it. So that meant that when we move over to the actual list that came from your own votes, there are a lot of similarities. In fact, most of it shows up on the list. Obviously, football is the one thing that's different with Finest, but other than that, SP was on the list, Donruss was on the list, and then Emotion was just outside of the list, but both Game Day and Upper Deck didn't make the list. And in this case, Emotion Basketball ran away. Well, I guess I shouldn't say ran away with it, but it was a lot stronger. Emotion was a lot stronger on this list than I had anticipated to see. At number 2, though, was Finest, very, very strong. That football design was really well appreciated. At number 3, we had Donruss Baseball, which really solid card. I totally agree with it. I was surprised, though, that the Hockey SP card came in so far in the rear because of the fact that it beat out what to me was the best card design in the Upper Deck Hockey design. But then when it got around to the overall, SP just drifted into the background. So it is fun to look at these designs and see kind of how you guys ended up putting this list together. Now, currently I'm in the middle of doing kind of a recap of the worst of designs, which I've been putting up every Saturday. So I do a Wednesday for whatever is current, and then on Saturday I do something from the past. And so it'll be a couple of weeks when I get around to the overall worst of 1994. And it is fun to do this. I'm really curious. I'm really looking forward to seeing how all these lists go moving forward and getting kind of this dynamic. And I will be doing these recap videos to look at how it was different from the way that I put it together. Because this is really, I think it's a really cool thing to see. So, thank you guys for everybody thank you guys for each case of you participating in this. I really appreciate that you're doing it, and it is fun to do this. And for those of you guys who haven't discovered it, I hope that you do start to, it's a quick little thing to do on the side, but I hope that we get more interactivity going on with this, because it really is a cool development in terms of how we can experience this channel. I hope to find some more things that are also interactive in YouTube beyond just this, but at least we do have this, so this will be good. So again, thank you for participating, or thank you for when you do participate, wherever it lines up. And look forward to the videos that are coming up. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun.